I am Larice. I am Larice. I am Larice. I am Larice. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. I am Larice. In today's video, Abby and I, we're doing the Two Nation boat tour. It's about 3 hours long. And what we're covering is 1,000 islands in the US and Canada. So it's a 3.5 hour boat tour, and then we're gonna stop at Boat Island. Hi Abby. Abby's so cute. So I'm just gonna get my ticket for the ride. Yeah. Gotta give the...
Welcome. Thank you, team. Careful on the dock, sweetheart. Morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't know which one is yours.
This one.
That one, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. So here we are, heading on. Quick little view of what we're seeing over there. It's kind of pretty. Check this out. Departing from Clayton, New York, Thousand Island area.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, it's 11 o'clock. Come on. Let's try this one more time. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Much better. I am Chris. I will be I will be giving you the narrator. I'm not giving you the narrator. I am your narrator. We are underway with Captain Chuck at the helm, best river captain on the river. So you guys are in for a really great, smooth, beautiful ride. I hope we're all, while I checked your tickets, we're all headed to the Two Nation tour and making a stop up at Boat Castle. So Clayton started off as a timber town. Gentlemen would come up and cut trees down in the on the mainland and also some of the smaller islands. They would float them downriver to Ogdensburg, where they would go to sawmills and be cut down for lumber for building. The river, and the reason why I speak about that, I'll be talking about the one of the islands that was clear cut pretty soon. The river is 740 feet, 44 miles long. It starts to the west of us at Lake Ontario, about 15 miles down Route 12. And it ends to the east of us in the Atlantic Ocean. If you were to travel by boat from the Atlantic Ocean as far west as you could through all the Great Lakes, you would end up in Duluth, Minnesota. And on that journey, it's a 2,300 mile journey by water, you would climb an elevation on the height of a 51-story building. You would go through a series of locks that, first, the closest lock to us is in Messina. It's the Eisenhower locks. It brings the ships up to the next level of the river. And then you have locks down by Lake Erie, and also heading back east, down by both Montreal and Quebec City. So there is approximately does anybody know how many islands are up here before I tell you? 1,000. Well, that was a good guess, but no, we're a little bit more than 1,000.
1,700.
It would be very, very cumbersome to say we have call it the 1,864 islands. So we call it the 1,000 Islands and round it down a little. We have 1,864 islands up here in the 1,000 Island region. Of those islands, two-thirds of them are Canadian, and a third of them is the American islands. Landmass, they equal out. Our islands tend to be a little bit bigger than the Canadian islands. Largest island in the 1,000 Island region is Bluff Island, and that's all the way to the west. And that is a Canadian island. Does anybody know the 3 criteria that are needed to make up an island? Water! Yes! You can't have an island without water. But it has to be surrounded by water 365 days a year. It has to be above water 365 days a year. One other criteria. I'll give you a clue.
Have to have
it's
a
yoga
tree.
pose. Tree, yes. You have to have at least one tree, or have one tree. First island I'm going to talk about is coming up on our left right here. It's that big mound of chocolate chip cookie dough in the middle of the river here. As I'm looking at it, I do realize we're missing an element. We've got the water, and it's above water, so we're missing a tree. Back about 30 years ago, there was at least 3 trees on that island. Once a landmass is described as an island or made an island, they stay an island. There was trees on this island about 30 years ago. It was always a nice place for boaters to stop and picnic. Unfortunately, when they picnicked, they would leave their hot ashes. The wind picks up and blew the ashes on the trees, and eventually the trees died off. The black birds that you see on the island over there, those are double-crusted cormorants. The cormorants are an invasive species. They come up from South America. They can eat up to a pound of fish a day. They're a little bit different from other waterfowl, where ducks and geese have wetsy coatings on their wings, so the cold water doesn't bother them. The cormorant do not. So when they come out on land, they do the cormorant dance. They're flapping their wings and drying themselves off to stay warm. They also have the ability to perch up in trees. The other interesting fact about cormorant is they have very acidic droppings. So that also helps in killing off the vegetation on the smaller islands. Next island, coming up on our left, that is Bluff Island. Bluff Island started off as Crawford Island back in the 1800s, and it was owned by a gambler. The owner liked to play poker, and he was in a poker tournament. He was not the chip leader, so he thought he would bluff his way through and use the deed to his island as a marker. Unfortunately, the gentleman he was playing against did not fold at that point. He stayed in, and he had a very nice hand. He won the hand, and he won Crawford Island. 2 years later, to add insult to injury, he changed the name from Crawford to Bluff Island. Does not take much to change an island's name. All you have to do is pay the applicable fees to the Coast Guard to have the name of the island changed on the navigational charts, and register it with be the legitimate owner and make the registration with Coast Guard. That's all it takes to change the name of an island. Oops. So as we go along, both in Canada and on the American side, I'm going to try to point out some of our like the cormorant. Maybe we'll see osprey or two. We'll definitely see their nests. A lot of times there is blue herons sitting on the cranes sitting on the sides of the rocks. So hopefully we'll see some of those today. And if anybody sees anything unusual or wants to point it out, please do so the whole boat can enjoy what you're seeing also. The large island on our left, that's Picton Island. Picton Island was one of those islands that were almost deforested back in the 1800s. It was almost completely clear-cut, and eventually it was bought in about 1840s by a man by Charles Emery. Charles Emery was one of the largest island holders on the river. He owned most of the islands from Clayton all the way up to where the Thousand Island Bridge is. This island, Picton Island, he used it for farmland because all the trees had been removed. And he used he would grow vegetables and had grazing land for cattle. He would use that food not only for his family's home, but also a hotel that he owned downriver on Round Island. Not only did Picton Island come was used for farmland, but it also has 3 granite quarries on it, and the granite was used for Mr. Emery's home, his hotel. There's a bank down in Clayton, Key Bank, and I think it's closed now, but they used the granite from Picton Island in that bank, and also the New York State's Capitol, and it's also in the lobby of the Museum of Natural History down in New York City. the small island to our right that we just passed, that is Maple Island. Now there's a mystery that dates back to 1865 regarding Maple Island. It's a lengthy tale, and I'm going to wait to tell that as we're coming back down river today, because we'll be able to see the tip of Maple Island as we're coming down through the channel. Coming up on all our islands do have electricity on them, and coming up on our left we have a power pole. But that does not get me all excited. I'm sure everybody has seen one or two of those in their day. But up at the top is a osprey up there. That's its nest, and we have an osprey sticking he's got his whole body sticking out. We're waiting for the tour boats to go through. But the power lines do run underneath the water. They come up when the power comes up onto land. They stay on the power poles because of the rocky soil we have. Picton Island is the fourth largest island in Thousand Island region. And we're slowing down for some paddlers so we don't cause them harm and a lot of big wake.
Look at that, we slow for the paddlers.
The island to our right, that is Murray Isle. Murray Isle is one of 3 islands that have a post office on it that's only open from the middle of June to the middle of September. There's the postmaster urges the residents of those islands, it's Murray, it's Grinnell, and Round Island, to purchase all their stamps and post office needs from those smaller post offices, so they have the revenue in order to stay open and be open for the following year.
4 people live on the island, they need a post office.
The person that delivers their mail
Why don't they get
off of
airline?
the second largest American island every day, or 6 days a week. And that island is Grindstone Island, and we're starting to see it now coming up on the other side of this point. Grindstone Island is one of 2 islands that have year-round residents on it, but Grindstone Island is the only island that has year-round residents on it that does not have a commercial way of getting to and from the island. So the people that live there year-round have to have a boat, at least, a snowmobile for the winter because our river does freeze over and our surrounding bays do too, and also, or a punt. A punt is like an Everglades boat, flat bottom boat with a big propeller on the back that scoots it along the ice in the winter. There's only approximately 8 families that live on Grindstone Island year-round, and one of the gentlemen comes off Grindstone, goes to Clayton first by boat, picks up the mail that needs to be delivered, delivers it to the surrounding islands, the 3 islands that have post offices, picks up the mail that has to go back to Clayton, and then takes that back to Clayton and then heads back to Grindstone for the day. We're coming into Eel Bay right now, and if you take a look around, everything we see now is islands. There is no mainland in sight. Eel Bay is a relatively shallow bay. It ranges from 7 feet to 12 feet throughout this whole bay. It's a great place for fishing. We have for both summer fishing and also ice fishing. We have in the waters pike, northern and walleyes, large and smallmouth bass. We do have muskie in the waters, and the largest muskie caught on record was caught outside of Clayton. It's almost 5 feet long and about 69 pounds. This is now Grindstone Island. Grindstone has 2 campgrounds on it. Everything is just accessible by boat. The first campground is Canoe Point, and then we have Picnic Point. It also has a small winery on the island, and it has about 14 miles of dirt roads where they don't require a driver's license, they require a height. If you can see over the dashboard and reach the gas and brake, you're able to drive on Grindstone. As we come into Eel Bay and you have your cell phone out, you may get a message, bing, welcome to Canada. They do have very strong towers. In fact, you can see one over there right now. But we do occur a lot of times roaming. We get the roaming sign saying that welcome to Rogers Wireless. That is a Canadian carrier. If you have a great international plan, you don't have to worry about the roaming charges. If you don't, you may want to put your phone at this time on airplane mode so you don't incur roaming charges. We are going to be going into the Canadian waters today. We just started doing this about a week ago. It was the first time we've been able to go into the Canadian waters in over a year. Right now, the large island to the right, that is Wellesley Island. That is the largest island on the American side. It is 9 miles long and 5 miles wide. And for a long period of the time that we're traveling to the Canadian waters, we will be traveling on the back side of Wellesley. And then when we're coming back down, we'll be traveling on the front side of Wellesley. It's, like I said, largest island in the American chain. It looks like if you look out to the left or right, they're starting to build a new cottage on this island coming up. Like I said, we haven't been in the waters in over a year. This is my third tour to be coming into the Canadian waters. So I'll be also asking the captain quite a bit on what islands we're passing. But if you look off to your about 11 o'clock on the boat, you'll see a white and red channel marker way off to the left. That is the old steamship channel. That is if you went down through there where you can see that vehicle moving now, that's the Indian City. The steamships would come out through there from Gananoque. It is a very small channel. That is they no longer use those channels for shipping. They stay on the American side where we have the shipping channel. The border for the Canadian and American border is all aquatic up here. It does not cross over any island. That is because they didn't want. So it's an all-water border. We will cross under a couple of the bridges of the Thousand Island bridges, which is the international bridge also. But no island is divided into two countries. The large mass of land that is right in front of us right now, that is the Canadian mainland. And where Grandview started as a summer community back in the 1850s. The state park was the state park was established in 1950. So Grandview was there long before the state park. And in order to get to Grandview, the people have to drive through the state park. So when the park opened in 1950s, they would charge the residents at Grandview the park fee to come back. If they left Grandview and they came back in to their cottage, they would charge them the entrance fee of the state park. Now this story is a story of how one person can make a difference. When this started, this one gentleman said, well, you know what? I am not leaving. I'm going to stay at my cottage all year round. In order to stay there, and he did this because they would, New York State would have had to plow the roadways in the state park because they had people coming over to their own property and they needed to be able to have the roads plowed to get to their cottages. The next year, it was very quiet, but the state said, we are not charging you guys the entrance fees. You can go to and from on your own without being charged to get to your cottages. The island right here is Abercrombie, kind of like Abercrombie and Finch. And right now, we are right in the middle of the where the border is. So we're right center of crossing over to both Canadian and American side. If you look up at Wellesley Island, you can see where the state park starts and where Grandview ends. Wellesley Island State Park has regular tent sites, electric sites, and regular trailer sites. It has two sandy beaches to swim at, and 5 different boat launches on the park. American span runs from the mainland over to Wellesley Island. You would follow 81 because that's the interstate that crosses over that bridge to Hill Island, where you would cross over the smallest international bridge in the world. It's only 90 feet long. you'd cross over onto Hill Island, and then you would cross over a trestle bridge onto Constance Island, and then from Constance Island you would cross over a worn trestle span, but it's much smaller. It's only about 600 feet. No, it's not 600 feet. I gotta think. It's smaller than the American span. The American span's almost a mile long, but the Canadian High Bridge is, I want to say it's about 600 feet, but I'm not 100% sure. You can see on both sides they have a lot of beautiful summer homes on the islands up here. We are now in Canadian waters. The pink cottage here is the halfway house. Now, we don't know why they painted it pink. Some people say it's because somebody was a Mary Kay representative. But the halfway house, they say it's because they named it that because it's halfway between Montreal and New York City at that location right there. The island on our left coming up, that is the smallest island in the Thousand Islands. That is Tom Thumb. It's the one that has the 15 on it. That 15 is for 15 kilometers. That's the speed limit.
Okay, there we go. That's the island she's referring to as the smallest island on the Thousand Islands. Check it out, the smallest island.
We are coming into probably the most beautiful areas of the Thousand Islands where there is, it's island upon island, and we're coming into what is considered the Lost Channel. As we cross under the trestle bridge up here, we are also coming into these the first Canadian, they're not a state park, but a federal park, a Canadian federal park, national park. It's throughout these islands, it's on all these islands. There's cottages or camps that you can stay in. It's the first one it was the first one made east of the Rockies. It's also the smallest national park in Canada.
Guys, Thousand Island Bridge, I actually walked across that bridge once, I think in 2016 or 17. It was very fun. Don't think I'll do that again though, because the bridge vibrates when a truck go by, and a lot of trucks go by. That is nice. This is why I asked you if you would be comfortable walking over a bridge, because I did this one in 2016 or 17. There it is. This is where we drive on if we're going to Canada from the US in this area. That's the Thousand Island Bridge. There's 3 of them, I believe.
These houseboats to the right of us, those are all rentable. There used to be a fleet of them down in Clayton about 10 years ago. I haven't seen them there since, but they would rent and you can go and float around on the river to enjoy your vacation.
Wow. I want a vacation on one of those.
Coming up almost right in front of us, the green cottage with the dark red trim. That is Abby, the cottage that belongs to the family of Abby Wamba. Abby was an Olympic, she was a soccer star back played in the 2004 and 2012 Olympics. When she's out, when she's up on the island, she comes out when the tour boats do go by and waves. And then coming up the next cottage, coming up on our left, that is Eagles Point. The property is made up of 13,375 square feet on the main residence, and it has a 5,761 square foot guest house. Between the 2 buildings, there's 8 bedrooms and 8 full bathrooms and 5 half bathrooms. On the property itself, there is about 5 different waterfalls. They don't have them running right now. It's this little mansion that we're passing on the back of the boat now, and the guest house is coming up in the trees. You can see where the waterfall, this is one of the waterfalls that they don't have them turned on this morning, but they're absolutely beautiful. The mansion was built with the boater in mind. Eagle Point has 1,600 linear feet up to the water frontage. Commercial grade concrete dock, and it provides more than 300 feet of dockage in Bucks Bay. It also has a boathouse with multiple boat lifts. This statue of St. Florence is coming up on the last piece up on the cliffs. St. Lawrence was a teacher of the Roman Catholic Church and was responsible for the material goods of the church and the distribution of the alms for the poor. St. Lawrence was executed on the statue up there. He was also a church librarian. He's got a book in one hand and a griddle standing up against him. The book represents that he was a church librarian, and the griddle is what was the method of execution of St. Lawrence. The next series of cottages are all owned by the Tomlinson family. Mr. Tomlinson owns an Ottawa construction company. He has 13 acres on the river, and he owns the fastest boat on the river. It's been clocked at 186 miles an hour, and it's called My Way. This is his daughter's home here, going to look like a conference center. Mr. and Mrs. Tomlin lives in the next house up with a very large totem pole on the dock. Mrs. Tomlin has her own cabin cruiser that's named Her Way, and then they have a third boat, it's Our Way. When they once said that when they get bored, they just add an additional room to their house, and it looks like they're kind of bored right now because they're putting an addition on now. And then the son's home is the next house down.
Did you hear the part where whenever they're bored, they add a room to their house? And there goes something added. So that's what Canadians do when they're bored, they build houses. And name their boat His Way, Her Way, and Our Way.
Riverway, and it's a beautiful tour if you have a chance to drive over to Canada and take it. But you can go from Kingston all the way down to Rocksport and further. If you look off to the left, you can see a barge with a heavy equipment on it. That is how a lot of the equipment is transferred over to the islands to do work on these beautiful homes. Off to your right, or I'm sorry, off to the left. It's a little bit of these aren't summer homes, these are year-round. This is a year-round community, and the homes are absolutely gorgeous. To our right is the Village of Rocksport. During the summer, it's a regular summer vacation area. I'm sorry, not to the right, Bluff, on the summer vacation area. During the winter, the village itself has maybe a population of 300. They also have two tour boat companies that come out of Rocksport. You saw one of the boats come out, the green one. If you look out to the left, you'll see a Catholic church sitting up on the hill. During Prohibition, they used that the smugglers would use that church to find whiskey in the basement of it to send across the channel to the American side. The smugglers would take the Catholic priests out to lunch in order to fill the basement of the church with their smuggled goods. And when the boats were ready to be loaded, they would take the Catholic priests back out to either lunch or dinner again to take them across to the I'll take those for you, sir. out to eat again in order to load the boats, in order for the boats to go across to the American side. Now as you look across the river, you can see the American side again. The island coming up on our left with the cottage with the red roof, that is Cleopatra Island. Into another island with by a little footbridge is the Coven Island. It was used to believe, people used to believe that the island was in both American, or it was both, the smaller island was an American island, the bigger island was Canadian. So when the couple that went to the home on that island got their bikes, the gentleman would just cross the bridge and come back over to America. But in all reality, that island is, both islands are Canadian islands. The sector from the third floor up, it is still original lath and plaster, the way it was when they stopped work on it. There is a movie that runs continuously on a loop on the second floor. It was a great place to start your tour of the castle and the castle grounds. It gives you a lot more history of it than the small thumbnail that I gave you as we were 10 people, $1,000 a night, minimum stay of 4 nights. Off to our right, the little Hobbit-style house over there, the little bit of a point and it's round, right in front of the white brick. That was an ice house. Mr. Bolt would send during the winter his workers out on the river to chop blocks of ice out of the river. He would put it on, that they would layer it with sawdust and continue to fill that ice house until it was full. The ice would remain frozen until August of the following year. The next island on our left, that is Florence Island. At one point, Florence Island was gifted from the Village of Alex Bay to Albert Godfrey for his song Florence on the St. Lawrence. Mr. Godfrey never acknowledged the island or the gift. It was eventually given to the Boy Scouts of America. It is now a private-owned island. This building to our right, that is the Swiss Chalet. The Swiss Chalet was built to hold the architects and electricians that were working on Mr. Bolt's castle. While they were staying there, Mr. Bolt, who was in the hotel business, charged them room and board. It is now independent condominiums. To our left is St. Elmo's Island. St. Elmo's is the patron saint of mariners. And to our right is Greg Rosen's home. Greg Rosen owns Picton Steel out of Kingston, Ontario. And he also owns a couple of minor league hockey teams. The house right in front of us, the cream colored with the blue-gray shutters, that plot was where Mr. Bolt used to summer, or would come up for the summer after he halted the work on the castle. That is Holiday Island, Welcome Island. That house is not the original house, but it was built to the exact specs of the house that Mr. Bolt did live in. The original house had unfortunately perished in a fire. If you look off to your right, you'll see where all the yachts are. That at one time was Mr. Bolt's Yacht Club. His membership was $1 million, and for every year after renewal for $10,000. He tried to keep the riprap out of his yacht club. And on our right is now the island. This part of the summer home is fairly new. It's only about 10 years old. The top part is a dining room, and the bottom part is an entertainment room. If you look up at the cottage itself on this end of the house, you'll see Riverstone pillars holding up the second floor. Those rocks are free-stacked. There is no re-rod or cement holding those stones up. As we come down Millionaire's Row, you may notice a lot of beautiful stonework on some of these island homes. That stonework was due to when Mr. Bolt had discontinued the work on the castle. He put a lot of masons and stoneworkers out of work. So the other millionaires in the area hired them on to finish off their landscaping and summer homes. The home right in front of us is Castle Rest. Castle Rest was owned by the Pullman family, inventors of the Pullman Railroad sleeping car. Pullmans were from Albion, New York, and they're credited with bringing tourism to the Thousand Islands. when President Grant was running for his second term, Mr. Pullman invited him up here to come and see the island. He did come, and with him he brought the Associated Press. They wrote extensive articles about the beauty of the Thousand Islands, and that's why they gave Mr. Pullman the credit of bringing tourism up to the Thousand Islands. This beautiful big home right here is Hopewell Hall. Hopewell Hall was a gift from Mr. Bolt to his daughter Clover for her wedding. Clover both lived there until the 1970s. Clover's daughter Clover lived there until the 90s. In March of this year, the home itself was sold to Mr. E.J. Noble's great-great-grandson for $3.6 million. We are passing the U.S. Coast Guard station right now. In 1974, the Roy Victory was coming upriver and ran aground at Pullman Shoal, which was right off of past that marker that we just passed. The captain was able to keep the boat afloat and brought it over to a ledge right in front of the Coast Guard station. This part of the river, the currents are very strong and they change rapidly. The crew of the Roy Victory worked overnight to keep the pumps pumping to keep the boat afloat. Unfortunately, the currents pulled that boat off that shelf and it ended up sinking in over 100 feet of water. None of the crew or the captain perished during that wreck. However, two divers have perished on the boat after going down to dive to see the extent of the hole in the hull. You have to now be a certified technical diver in order to dive on that wreck. We're going to experience a couple of large rotors right now, so just Captain Chuck is doing a great job maneuvering around them. Now we're going to get some big rotors. Sorry, Captain. Off to the right, or off to the left is Picton Island. The green cottage up there is owned by Bear Productions. It originally was built by the Park family. They owned it for 6 generations. The bear on the leather vane, it is a working leather vane, and it's 800-pound metal sculpture of a bear up there. Off to the left is Keeway State Park. And off to our right, we're coming into the summer community of 7 Isles. 7 Isles are 7 small islands, all connected by footbridges and a couple of automobile bridges. There's little canals going through, separating the islands that you can paddleboard or kayak through. On the island with the beautiful stone home on it, that is Longview Island. Back in the 1900s, Hudson Rose wanted to buy his wife an island, and she couldn't find an island that she liked. So Hudson bought 3 shoals and filled them in and made that island. It's considered an artificial island. Well, Mrs. Rose didn't care for that island either. She didn't care for the Thousand Islands, and she really didn't like Hudson Rose all that well. Happy ending to the story. The second Mrs. Rose adored the Thousand Islands, enjoyed the home on Longview, and absolutely loved the Hudson. The island is now owned by a family out of Scottsdale, Arizona. The question is, what is Devil's Oven? Devil's Oven sits just outside of Alexandria Bay. It is a big rock island. There's plenty of trees on it. However, there is a cave at Devil's Oven on the front or the easternmost side of the island. It is where a legendary pirate hid out for a few years. His name was Bill Johnston. He was wanted both by the Canadians and the Americans for the attempt to steal the Sir Robert Peel ship. It was the British naval payroll ship. It was coming down the river twice a month, and Bill Johnston attempted to steal it. He was unable to light the engines. There was a newer ship, and none of his him or his band of pirates knew how to light the boilers. So what they did was they stole the payroll and any provisions off of that ship, and then they cut it adrift and went in the fire and let it sink in the river. So that is where Mr. Johnson hid out during while he was trying to allure the authorities. Eventually, Mr. Johnson was found out that there's a bounty for him from the American side, and he arranged to have his son turn him into the American authorities. Bill Johnston eventually, well, when he was surrendered to the American authorities, he was held in jail down in Utica, New York, and he eventually escaped that jail. He went back to his pirate ways and eventually was recaught and did some time down in, finished his sentence down in Albany, New York. There's a little bit more to that tale, and I'll tell you about it when we get on the other side of the bridge, because we'll see where the Robert Peel was boarded when he boarded it, and we'll see another spot that is iconic for him, which is on Rock Island. How's that for a long story for a short question? Outside on our left, we have Point Vivian, and I think we have a rider today by the name of Vivian. This is your summer community, sweetheart. Point Vivian, back here in the Gilded Age, in the Golden Age, this was nothing more than a steamship stop. Steamships would come up and drop off their passengers at this little summer community. And during the Prohibition, the community had a illegal speakeasy. The speakeasy was individual told the owner that the authorities were coming to raise the speakeasy, so he threw all his alcohol and gaming machines in the river. It was just a ploy. The individual had told the owner of that, ended up sending a team of divers down and removing all the coinage out of the gaming machines. They weren't, eventually they were robbed, but they were never raided. The ship we have in front of us, that is headed to Duluth, Minnesota. We checked it up on our ship app while we were waiting at the castle today. So he's got about another 7-day trip in front of us. The island to our right, that is Wellesley Island. Now you're going to see how actually long this island is. And this is the American span of the Thousand Island Bridge. So it's almost a mile long, and it's 150 feet high from the surface of the water up to the underneath of the driving deck. Coming up on our left is a dark gray cottage with white trim. It has a clear garden and a waterfall upon it. That was originally a cottage owned by the RCA Record Company. That at one time was the summer spot for Irving Berlin. Now, for the young guys on the boat, Irving Berlin was a composer. He wrote God Bless America, Always, and White Christmas. The cottage was sold to a retired Vegas-based hockey player. He put on renovated the original cottage to their beautiful home now, and he flipped it. It's now for sale for over $1.5 million. The island coming up on our left, that is St. Helena Island. In 2005, they had an unexpected visitor in the morning. The Niagara was heading down the river. The Niagara was a freighter, and they lost their steering. The captain ended up having it run aground on St. Helena Island. With that freighter on the island, it shut down the shipping channel for 4 days. They had to bring out cranes on tugs and barges. They had to bring out the cranes to unload the ship so they could force the ship up in order to get it off the shoulder. And then they had to there was blocking perpendicular on the river, so they had to pull it out and get it lined up to have the correct way. They also had to send inspector down into the hull to make sure the hull was not damaged where the ship would not be able to finish its trip. Once they got it moving, they were able to reopen the channel. They had ships backed up all the way into the lower Great Lakes and all the way down to the Atlantic Ocean. Off to our left, that is Swan Bay. Swan Bay is the newest resort community. Off to the right of Swan Bay is a resort campground, along with a place shop or grocery store up in the far back and that's really lovely for some of the islanders who have to come across by boat to do grocery shopping. They also have summer rentals and also summer seasonal people. in Swan Lake. The white home up here on the hill, that is owned by the Plantabush family. Plantabushes are known for the Daisy beauty rifle, the old-fashioned metal nutcrackers that you would use at Christmas time, and also the expandable ladder. The Plantabushes at one time owned both the Empire Boat Line and the Empire Airline. Years ago, when Claire Barton was still alive, she would vacation up here at the Plantabush home. They would fly the Red Cross flag when Ms. Barton was in residence to let them know that she was here. Claire Barton is the founder of the American Red Cross. As we come across under the bridge, you can see some scaffolding hanging down under the bridge. That is for repair work and painting the bridge. Monday through Friday, the workers are driven across the bridge and they're stopped at the scaffolding and people climb up over the bridge, side of the bridge, and down into the scaffolding if there's repair work that has to be done. Okay, for anybody that's superstitious, I've been told that when we cross under the bridge, if you close your eyes and make a wish, your wish may come true. So get a hold, ready to make your wish. Captain, keep your eyes open, please. Go ahead for the front of the boat, make your wish. Big boat, go ahead and make your wish. And for the stern of the boat, go ahead and make your wish. Now I've been doing this all summer long, and I wish for the same thing, and I've had all but one day for that wish to come true. I always wish for smooth sailing and no rain. I only had one really severe rainstorm, so I believe in it. So if anybody wished for the winning lottery numbers, it may come in for you. Remember, Captain Chuck brought you under, and I was the one that kind of nudged you to make a wish.
That's cute.
We just passed the island with Castle May cottage on it. Castle May is owned by a woman's name is May Castle, and she is from Newcastle, Pennsylvania. USA is kind of like a tow truck, only for water. They go out to help folks that are having problems on the water. Coming up on our right, the White House with the blue anchor, that is where Mr. Robert Peel used to moor. And the pirate Bill Johnston knew that that's where they would dock for the night. And he brought his band of friends. And they pulled their canoes and rowboats off to the side and followed the footpath down to where the ship was. And that's where they boarded it over here and they stowed all of the payroll and provisions, went in quick start the boilers, and ended up having it sink right out here. On our right, up on the hill, right up here, that is one of the four partners that formed the Sobey Water Company water drink product. They developed the water drink product and ended up selling it to Pepsi-Cola. They sold it for $400 million, that product. The flags here are flying along with the American flag. Those represent the nations of that partner's family with their origin from. Today, I'm usually asked about the origin of Thousand Island dressing. Thousand Island dressing did originate up here in the Thousand Islands. It was originally produced it was developed in the village of Picton by a woman by the name of Sophia Lalonde. Sophia Lalonde's husband, George Lalonde, was a fishing guide. And back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, fishing was more of a formal event and not a recreational sport. So Mr. Lalonde would go up and down the river and pick up his guests for fishing. One of his most famous and notorious fishing guests, his name was, I gotta think now, May Irving. May Irving lived out Clayton area. She had an island and then she moved over to the Clayton area. And she was a vaudeville star from New York City. He would go and pick her up and they would fish all day. And at the end of the day, they would have an offshore meal, which consisted of the fish that they caught and a few other items. Sophia, George's wife, would prepare a dipping sauce for the fish, and Naomi loved that. She was also an acquaintance with George Boldt. She offered George Boldt some of the dressing that she had, and he enjoyed it, and he asked for the recipe. Well, Sophia gave the recipe to Mr. Boldt, and he took that down to New York City. He put it on his menu on one of his hotels, and the kitchen manager asked what they were going to call it for the menu. And Mr. Boldt simply said, came from Thousand Island dressing. That is the original origin of Thousand Island dressing. It does have, the original recipe did have hard-boiled eggs in it. Off to the left, about 11 o'clock, is a lighthouse. That is Rock Island Light. Rock Island Light is the last stop to my story.
Oh my God. When we came across this ship, they said they're heading to Minnesota, I believe, and they have 7 days left on their trip. Well, at least that's what the lady told us inside. So I kind of stepped outside to take this.